Anyway, let's get on to it. What's up, y'all? Show host most that does the most. It's your crispy. Welcome back to another video. A neighbor tell why black cartoons are disappearing. Why is black cartoons disappearing? That's the real question. We need to know. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We is on the road to 500. And let's see what's the real reason why black cartoons are disappearing. Okay?
Hold on. How many fucking black cartoon characters is it on TV right now? I name 5. I'll give you time.
That's Tyler, the Creator, and he's explaining why he changed the main lead from his TV show, The Jellies, from white to black. Now, I didn't watch The Jellies, and neither did you, but I do remember watching this, and it resonated with me. Because I remember watching Fillmore, Class of 3000, Static Shock, Tuttenstein. Yep. Yeah, remember Tuttenstein? But this clip is old, like 2017 in July old. This take isn't relevant anymore. Yes. Yes, it is. Look, I'm gonna make it even madder. We currently have the same number of black cartoon protagonists on television now as we did back in 1929.
Wow.
1. What about Craig of the Creek? Series finale ended earlier this year. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, as of recording, not greenlit for a new season. My Dad the Bounty Hunter, canceled. Shouldn't we be past this? There should be black main leads everywhere. I'm not talking about the shared limelight like Jon Stewart or Jay. I'm talking full-on protagonists. There's no doubt about it. It's their show, hands down. Well, no, because as of right now, the only show that's featuring a black protagonist and currently keeping us tied with the same year that kicked off the Great Depression is a show that I grew up watching as a kid, The Proud Family.
Yep.
So now it's been revised for newer audience.
The Proud Family, it's a good one too. Sit back and watch that, man. I watched all that when I was little.
So they're louder and somehow prouder. This is a problem. Bias and stereotypes just scratch the surface as to why there are so few black main characters in mainstream cartoons. And while the lack of representation is putting a much needed spotlight on these studios, revealing some serious blind spots and unsolved questions, the worst part about it is it affects all of us, regardless of your race, age, or ethnicity. We're losing the ability to nurture our own racial identity while simultaneously developing harsh social dynamics, not only amongst
But I ain't lying to you. You would know when you got a black character on your show. They might not paint them black, but if they're a different color, they black. Like Piccolo off of Dragon Ball Z, black. Stitch, black. Like, don't make me go on and on. There's so many characters that's just black.
Ourselves but each other. But to understand any of that, we need to know why black cartoon characters have had such a hard time gaining and remaining in the leading role spotlight. Well, that's simple. Negro Boy.
Who's that? Who?
I think we've established that Kaka and Tuki don't work.
More formally known as Bosco,
Oh,
is the
wow.
first black animated cartoon
Bosco.
character, created by Hugh Harman and Rudy Icing, who worked as animators at Walt Disney.
Bosco. I could low-key mess with that. This actually a good character. Bosco.
Who worked as animators at Walt Disney during that time. The pilot, Talk Inc. Kid, aired in May of 1929, and it blew up. Not only because animation was still relatively new, but synchronized sound was super popular, which is just a technique of matching audio.
I'm going back to Disney to get that Mickey Mouse. I'm going to get that Mickey Mouse. You know Disney don't own that Mickey Mouse? You know that?
Animation was still relatively new, but synchronized sound.
You know, Disney do not own this Mickey Mouse at all. So, I mean, hey, if you're a designer, you want to make me a jacket or a shirt, hey, just send it my way.
was super popular, which is just a technique of matching audio with whatever effects are actually happening on screen. That said, a series of short films soon followed during the 1930s. And Bosco even saw a resurgence in popularity when it was brought to the small screen in the 1950s, even still airing into the early 1990s. But why was it so popular? Well, if you've been watching the clips being shown, hey, hi, welcome back. Beyond traditional animated antics that were popular during that time, Bosco himself was a jack of all trades. More like black jack of all trades. Singing, dancing, playing any instrument with ease, Bosco was the real black deal, because let's not forget that a lot of his tropes came from black stereotypes. This was important because Bosco set the preliminary stage for what was seen as acceptable, as well as what was needed in order to capture an audience's attention when showcasing black characters. And that can be seen on full display with the Censored 11. And if you haven't seen the Censored 11, I'm really sorry what I'm about to do to you right now. Do you remember? Okay, so that was not only the opening theme to the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes, it was also their opening theme to the Merry Melody segments. Simply put, think of a short musical that hosts a variety of characters, both known and unknown in the Looney Tunes universe. As for me, I genuinely loved them. I can still recite songs to this day. But unfortunately, I've had to add a few more to my memory, like Coal Black and the Seven Dwarfs. As it sounds, it's a racist reimagining of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But they put duh.
So it's just a black version?
And seven, because, you know, black people don't talk good and can't articulate. And it also featured a whole host of fun characters. Prince Chawin, with his gold teeth and dice for Central Incisor.
Alright, y'all. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Why did they always draw these lips like that? Our lips was never that supposed to be that colored. Nah, bruh. I kind of feel the play now. Cause like, how you gonna draw black people's lips like that? Nah. Man, I don't wanna hear that, bruh. Real talk, bro. You don't put no freaking, you don't do that. I don't know what I'm saying. But in general, though, that was back in the day, though. You know, back in the day was way wild than that. They had like Disney was so crazy with it, saying it like I'm telling you, Disney was a different thing back in the day. Only thing I knew that because I watched my research and all that stuff.
So White as the over-sexualized black female lead, and the Dwarves cosplaying as U.S. soldiers because this is 1943 and we are full bore into World War II.
Hold on. Y'all know they're trying to make a Betty Boo real life version, and they don't want a black person to play Betty Boo, even though she's actually Loki is black. Loki.
Is in full effect, and we need all the patriotism we can get, which apparently includes over-exaggerated black stereotypes and physical features. But here's the thing you have to understand. Back then, this was a hit. The film received critical acclaim from white and black audiences alike, and Warner Brothers was praised for making it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like black people were throwing parades, but back then, pickings were slim. So if you're able to make it onto the big screen and you've got black characters being played by black voice actors too, with authentic vibes surrounding your culture, sometimes you gotta take the win. Trust me, it's better than the alternative mainstream media. And remember, this is just 1 out of 11. Goldilocks and the Driving Bears, Jungle Jitters, Uncle Tom's Bungalow. These are just a few films that came out between 1931 and 1944 that exaggerated black physical features, enforced stereotypes, and depicted black people as simple, dumb, and one note. So you can understand why Warner Brothers wanted to bury these as soon as they realized that racism and bigotry was real, removing whatever they could from the airways, distancing themselves from it, and basically blacklisting, any of those films from ever seeing the light of day. And while that's nice and yay, racism is bad, the damage had already been done. Given the tremendous success of the film, coming from a very popular studio with audiences of all ages and races singing its praises, the Censored 11 essentially gave competitors in the industry the blueprints of how black characters were to be used. Entertainment fuel as the proverbial Jack in the Box. To spring out, make us laugh, and then, okay, that's enough, back in your box. And this type of execution can be seen throughout the following decades. Shows like the Harlem Globetrotters and Jackson 5 were successful, but it mainly came from the...
Hey, don't forget about Fat Albert too, man. Fat Albert was in a part of that too. Don't forget, that's the big three. That was the big three back in the day. You cannot forget that.
Popularity surrounding their real-life counterparts, while also playing to the racial tropes that were previously set in place 20-odd years ago. Not only by the cartoons themselves.
This is a good show. I used to watch this back in the day too. It used to come on TV. All of this stuff, like they be saying, this Michael Jackson, that basketball stuff, and Fat Albert used to come on.
But
I
how
ain't
black
watched.
people are
No, I ain't
portrayed
get to that point of going all the way back now. Nah, bro. We ain't get
thought
that
of
far.
in general, i.e. simple, physically gifted, or musically talented. This also meant we weren't going to see the Jackson 5 discussing race relations while jamming out. Neither were the Harlem Globetrotters going to talk about new ways to promote equality. How could they? They were too busy fighting crime as superheroes. So these cartoons had permanent training wheels attached, meant to stay in their lane, be entertaining, and not rock the boat with any social or political messaging. The question is now, are there any shows in existence that bypass these stereotypes and social limitations while also meeting the 3.5 rule? 3.5 rule? Did you miss something while you were eating? No, you're fine. I thought of the 3.5 rule when I was doing research for this video, because a cartoon's lifespan is only 3.5 seasons on average, even less for cartoons with black protagonists. So shows that went over 3.5 seasons with black leads were top tier, as they not only had the ability to escape the biases and stereotypes set upon them by their predecessors, but had serious cultural impact and were able to connect with audiences regardless of race, age, or ethnicity. All that said, a show like that did exist, and ironically set in the same era as the Jackson 5 and the Harlem Globetrotters. It set a new standard for black character leads, challenged stereotypes that were set in place for generations, and even revolutionized how black characters were depicted and what they could talk about. So surely whoever came up with something so dynamic, so positive, so socially significant, must share the same values and morals as the very show they created, right? Oh.
Now listen. Bill Cosby might be a bad person, but let's keep it a nice good buck. That dude did come up with some creative cartoons. Fat Albert, Lil Bill. That was some hits.
God. Let's get this out of the way now. Bill Cosby is a horrible person. He drugged and innocent women, and I cannot believe he got out of his 10-year sentence.
Okay, we understand that. You ain't gotta go there. We know. Everybody know. Everybody and their mama know. We know.
And I wish I could associate this next sentence with damn near anybody else. But he did an ungodly amount of good for black people in Hollywood and media as a whole. Of course, there were other trailblazers that came before him, but because of his role as Alexander Scott in I Spy, which made him the first leading black actor in a drama series, along with a variety of other shows he did following that, black representation and perception started to shift. They worked jobs with higher statuses like doctors and lawyers. People were being introduced to small instances of black culture, and most importantly, at least in the industry's eyes, Cosby showed that there was a market for this type of television. So when he came to CBS with the idea about a cartoon centered around him and his friends getting into wacky adventures in Philadelphia, he got the green light. But unlike other cartoons with black leads that came before it, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids were dynamic. Fat Albert was athletic, wise, able to lead, but also ask for advice and guidance when needed. And while the others in their crew weren't as completely fleshed out, they too had their own style, humor, thoughts, and ways to contribute in a positive way. This wasn't slapstick, stereotypical humor with no real plot and one-note storytelling. There was depth. Each episode had Fat Albert and the crew helping each other, friends, or classmates through real-life situations.
Yeah. I remember that too. And they had on, like, they went to jail too with that stuff too.
Like divorce, interracial relationships, even alcoholism. And remember, this was in the 1970s. Conversations about these topics were difficult. So to be discussed on a television show geared towards children was quite significant. But through colorful and dynamic characters, great storytelling, and an understanding of how to present serious subject matters in an easily digestible way, Fat Albert was a runaway success, spanning 8 seasons from 1972 to 1985. And yes, Bill Cosby was a big name, did voices in the show, and had cameos throughout the episodes, but it wasn't called Cosby and the Crew. Fat Albert took main billing, and he wasn't real, just a creation loosely based off of one of Bill's childhood friends. But they made him a star when they very easily could have had the show center around Bill Cosby alone. So this was a really nice in-between for black cartoon protagonists in television. You got the popularity of a star to give the show legs, but you're not resting on your laurels. And you're challenging the cookie-cutter format traditionally associated to black characters. And you're successful. So how did we plateau? The show was revolutionary compared to all cartoons, black or otherwise. So if that's roughly 40 or 50 years ago, then why do we not have black cartoon leads everywhere in television? Well, an analysis came out in 1992 about television series with minority-led characters. It was called An Analysis of Television Series with Minority-Led Characters. And it looked into 3 big networks, CBS, ABC, and NBC, between 1950 to 1991.
Man, ABC, NBC, these came in clutch. Especially with these shows. They came in clutch when you ain't had no cable. I ain't lying to you. When you had no cable, These came in clutch along with PBS Kids. I ain't lying to you. I remember them days when we ain't had no cable at all, and these used to come on. Classics.
Now, it's no surprise, in the 50s and 60s, minority-led TV shows were basically non-existent, except for NBC. They literally weren't existent. But all that changed in the 80s when the numbers across the board increased exponentially. And if we look closer, black representation started to increase specifically between 1972 to 1981, rising from 6.2% to 9% for males and 5.2% to 6.2% for females. What's interesting is while their presence rose, their major or lead roles they played plummeted, jumping down from 9.6% to 2.4% for males and 4.6% to 1.6% for females. But why this sudden increase with a subsequent decrease?
Monsters do have their place. In the zoo, in your nightmares, but not in your living room. Pay TV and cable TV companies are seeking the right to charge you for the very programs you now get free. Sign the petition in the lobby of this theater. Let your lawmakers know how you feel in the fight against pay TV.
Say free TV.
Yes, it seems like even the most terrifying of creatures, the pink carnivorous Tristegosaurus, wasn't enough to stop TV patrons from switching over to cable, putting these networks in a bind. They were losing customers left and right and had to pivot marketing to a new demographic. So who didn't have the disposable income for cable and cassette recorders and watched 40% more network fare than their white counterparts?
Hey, them tape recorders, whatever them call, you put it on the TV in the slot. Mama had a whole bunch of those, bro. I remember it's this kangaroo show, right? If somebody know what I'm talking about, it's a kangaroo karate show that he bring kids to like the dojo and teach them how to karate and learn lessons about life and stuff like that. Bro, that show used to always come on, bro. I'm not gonna hold you. It used to be coming in clutch. I wish I could remember what the title was.
Networks had to play it smart. They didn't want to completely alienate their white audiences, but they needed to capitalize on this untapped market. So they found a middle ground by adding more black representation, but not too black, avoiding all that confusing ethnic culture that white audiences might not understand and have to learn about. So they found the best of both worlds. Black audiences were just happy to see more people like them on TV, and white audiences could have the same social content with the glorification of white norms and values in their media. And these networks had a variety of different success in their programs. The experiment had paid off, but that's all it ever was, an experiment. Besides NBC, who had doubled down in the 80s, both ABC and CBS cut back significantly
they used to be on too.
minority-led television. And given that the numbers from
The only reason why I know about that show right here, saying because when I went to that Dallas stuff and I did that stuff and I used to watch it like that.
One would be skewed due to not covering a full decade. You'd hope that it would be a fluke, that after this dip, CBS and ABC would follow suit and get back on black track like NBC did in the 80s. But you'd be wrong. In fact, it was the opposite that happened. NBC was the one to follow those other two networks, cutting back on their minority-led television programs. So when these big broadcasters were struggling, they turned to black audiences. And once they were able to learn, adapt, and evolve, either by starting their own cable services, merging with competitors, or practicing broadcast syndication, they cut the very shows that kept them afloat. And by not going back to the time when large percentages of black characters had lead roles, the black protagonist role all but disappeared. Just look at where black leads are played on television today. Yes, these networks may still create shows like Empire, Mixed-ish, Blackish, or Grownish, but that's it. Majority are...
Nah, I ain't lying to you. When they got older and older, Sam, I feel like the black shows that we were watching, it evolved. Yeah, it evolved more to drama, more like real life stuff, not like no funny khaki, you know how to like you go like I put like 3 examples. What's Fresh Prince? Fresh Prince is so funny, goofy, even though when they got that one episode when Will trusted that dude, he took the furniture and everything out their house. Don't know how they do it. To this day, still don't know how to do it. That's not like, doing too much, not doing, not all that. Number 3, Martin. I'll name an episode. When Martin and when the power was out and they were standing in an apartment, bro, and they had like this dude, it was like a crackhead dude was selling like chicken birds, something like that, and they didn't want to eat it at all. But Gina wanted to eat it. I said, nah. Then another show, Kenan and Kel. Kenan and Kel, talking about some real life though. Like to the store, the school, and all the other things. But in general, though, like I don't know. I just can't sit down and watch Empire. I don't know. I never liked the Empire like that though. Only thing I really liked about Empire was when that girl Cookie was on there and old dude who was that rapper dude, and the dude who made that song. They made a whole movie together. What's that called? It's hard out here for a pimp when they trying to get this money for this rent. That's the only three characters I like. Any other characters, I don't know them. I was just keeping a nice good buck with you. Now they make it dramatic shows, trauma, drugs. Like, yeah, I mean, interesting to see that, but it's interesting for the adults to see that. You don't want to show no kids them drugs, nothing like that. Dude, I mean, hey, that's what you call parenting and watching over your kids. Watch your kids' steps. And they really got parents out here that really don't watch over their kids' steps and stuff like that. They let them do what they want. And they be wondering why they in and out of jail, don't know what they want to do with their life, instead of in the same cycle. Well, to eternity. I ain't saying that just black people. I'm saying that to all races. Yes, all race. Not just blacks. But I hated how, like, back in the day, you could sit there and laugh at a Will Smith, Martin, and Kenan and Kel, or all that. You could laugh at them type of shows. But when you put on Empire, or you put on what other them dramatic shows, they be coming in the clutch. They black. Them fighting shows. Not fighting shows. Them what's it called? All them girls be tearing it down. I don't know what they call, but it's something. Yeah, they be freaking tearing it down and all that. I like seeing stuff like that, bro.
Networks or broadcast stations specifically targeted at black audiences. And that's great, happy to have it, but it's not enough. Now, I'm sure at some point you went, well, these are real-life TV shows, not cartoons. Aren't there differences in the data surrounding that? A fair question. The only problem is, what data? Finding well-researched information about cartoons in the same vein doesn't really exist, but I don't really think it needs to. For one, the sample size would be far too small to produce any type of meaningful results, which speaks volumes in and of itself. But also,
hey man, I don't care what y'all say. I did watch Document Stuffing. I don't know what y'all could look at me. Yeah, I watched Document Stuffing when I was little. And same as I was watching Dora, Peppa Pig, and all. Yes, I was watching that when I was little. I don't care what y'all say.
This is the only real information you need. In this context, I view cartoons as the most authentic form of where these big broadcast companies' true intentions lie, because cartoons take a really long time to create.
Oh, wow. The PJ family always just somehow, some way, the PJ family always find a way to just come out of nowhere. Somebody said I look like that kid off of the PJs. I promise you, without these blind tips and this hair, these dreads, bro, and I comb these dreads out and have an afro and put a red jacket on, I'm that kid. I promise you.
Just ask. There's But you don't need an entire team to animate every single thing you're going to see on screen. So when one of these networks decides to greenlight an animated show, especially one with a black lead, best believe they looked under every rock to give it the best chance of being successful and not wasting money. So just like the slump that happened to shows with minority-led characters in the 70s, 80s, and beyond, the same fate was set for black-led cartoons. And while the 90s and early 2000s had some unicorns that were able to make it past,
I ain't lying to you. Static Shock should have had some more season to it. That was an amazing, wonderful show to go back and watch as little kids, bro, because you learn so much stuff in Static Shock. What was that other show too? Captain Planet, whatever that man name is. Yeah, man, that was a good show too. Yeah, with that Captain Planet man. Yeah, he was actually a good show to go back and watch too. Cleveland Brown, actually a good show. My barber told me I look like Cleveland Brown. You know that hurt my soul when he said that. Then my mama laughed at me.
3.5 rule ceiling or just real lasting impression on its audience, the number of shows leveled off, plateauing, never really peaking over 4 or 5.
Yeah, LaBelle.
So given that these networks have all this power, the most logical answer is to change what they prioritize. To make it easier to understand, let's take a single one of these networks and think of it like a s'more. You've got graham crackers, marshmallows, and chocolate. Perfect. Now let's get this s'more and enjoy.
Ew, that's dry. I know that's dry.
This is terrible. There's not enough chocolate. Hold on. Ugh, no, wait, still not enough. No, add more. More. Seriously, get more. More! We stick with what we know, and in this case, create what we know. And if you thought black cartoon characters came few and far between, finding black creators in this space is like finding Waldo, except you're blindfolded. And someone gave you a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. Talking about books I had to read the spark notes of in school, let's talk about school. Like Massachusetts College of Art and Design, one of the top art schools for animation in the country. With an enrollment rate of 50.7% white, 13.6% Hispanic or Latina X, 6.6% Asian, 4.69% multiracial, 3.51% black or African American, and less than 1% being Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islands, American Indian, or Alaskan natives. Well, that's just one. How about California Institution of Arts and 4.58% enrollment of black people. At least Savannah College Art and Design is putting up numbers with 11%. Savannah, you're in Georgia. You have a population of over 50% black people. Chocolate City is a hop and a Hulk skip. Yeah, there's quite a few reasons why there's a lack in black representation in schools that prioritize animation. Not having the funds to be able to afford top-tier equipment or a lack of access to certain programs or workshops can greatly affect your ability when competing against other candidates. But if you're wondering, how do we live in a world where I don't have to touch buffalo wings with my bare fingers and still be able to eat them, but black people still have the lowest median income out of white, Asian, and Hispanic people? Let me introduce you to...
Dang. Why you don't want to touch chicken wing with your hand, bro? Why you get buffalo? Nah, you gotta get that honey barbecue. Honey barbecue, or they like, they be having some, a lot of go-tos, bro.
Any history book, anywhere, at any time, post 1957. Even once you're inside the school, it's not like these programs are focused on teaching you the styles and techniques utilized with the Harlem Renaissance or the Black Arts Movement. Sure, I found courses like race, erasure, and inequality, but this wasn't shocking.
You know one thing about school, and I'm gonna say this to the end of time. It always when they get to Black History Month or history about blacks, it always about it only for 2 weeks. At 2 weeks, we only get 2 weeks, and we on to the next thing. Like they had and I love bringing this back. I'm gonna bring this back. Junior year in Miss H class, 2 weeks of Black History Month, and she wanted us to on Black History Month 2 weeks about the blacks. Like black people ain't did a lot of things, I ain't saying, everybody else ain't, do their thing. But everybody doing their thing. But, get credit what it do.
Especially since they were a drop in the bucket compared to all the other courses in general. And it makes sense. Schools are a business. The more students that can be converted into the job market post-graduation, the more reputable and sought after the university becomes. If the market was producing a bunch of black-inspired animation in film or television, sure, they'd incorporate it with the basic skills of animation with this blackness in mind. But it's not there. So this is a moot point. But let's say you make it through. You're the lucky 11, 4, 3%, and that's assuming everyone enrolled is going to graduate. And now you're looking for work, ready to make your mark and change the world. Well, that's going to be kind of hard too. Like anyone looking for work in your given field after you graduate college, you need experience. I know, it's stupid. How can I have experience if I don't get experience? Let's move on. And connections, especially in this career. Dealing in television, media, just Hollywood in general, it's ruthless. So getting a leg up on the competition by having a mentor or networking opportunities to get your foot in the door can be a huge advantage. But finding a seasoned vet in that space is hard. Black creators are relatively new to this industry, and for good reason. Besides the previous point we mentioned, it's not like any of them are going to get hired in the 40s or 50s, and even if they were, who's going to want to make this racist nonsense? So there's not a lot of black producers, animators, directors, stylists that have been in the industry for an extended amount of time who can make significant changes from the top or even in the middle who can help vouch for or onboard other black creators. And it doesn't take much to make significant impact even with the smallest of changes. Take Floyd Norman, the godfather of black animators. He had a true passion for animation and studied all throughout high school and college. And he was so talented that he was picked up by Walt Disney after 2 years of study at the Art Center College of Design, becoming their first black Disney animator. A few years later, he helped bring Leo Sullivan, another black animator and newly graduated student looking for work, onto the Disney animation team. After working together for some time, they realized they had shared interests and values, deciding to take the knowledge they acquired working at Disney to leave and start their own studio, Vignette Films Incorporated, which sparked 6 animated films about black history and black historical figures, created the legendary Soul Train logo, and in 1969 produced an animated special on NBC that was loosely based on the life of a popular comedian and actor as they recalled their time growing up with their friends in the inner city neighborhoods of Philadelphia. Needless to say, even the smallest spark can create the largest of fires, but sometimes these networks control the spark in the form of tokenization and typecasting. A few years back, Netflix released an all-black virtual roundtable, which I'm going to reference heavily in this segment. It was comprised of various black figureheads in the animation industry, from directors to color designers and producers. This included the late Jack Knight, who was a comedian and actor who also wrote for and starred in the hit Netflix sitcom Big Mouth. During the roundtable, he spoke of how the industry uses heavy tokenization when it comes to black people. He even comments on himself potentially having the very job he had because Nick Carroll.
Oh my God, bro, if he did not pass away, bro, like that song, Code Switching, I'm the master of the dial. I got different me for every situation. I'm a black old honey young. I get to it to your time. And nobody will know who is the real me, yeah.
Creator of Big Mouth, saw him be funny somewhere. He continued by stating that only a queer black could do this or cookie cutter black could do that. So this keeps black people restricted from specific projects, tasks, storyboarding, etc.
But I ain't lying to you, Big Mouth is a good show to go watch when you're a teenager. When you're in high school, that's when you need to go ahead and start watching Big Mouth. You'll learn so much stuff in Big Mouth, not to do and what to do. I'm telling you.
Across the board. There are countless examples of white individuals writing, producing, and directing black stories and even voicing black characters. But it shouldn't take the likes of Jenny Slate, who played Missy in the very same show as Jack, to...
Hold on, wait a minute. On God, on me, on everything in this bite out there, I doubt a black person was doing this voice. On God, on me, I doubt a black person was doing this voice. For real. I doubt a black person was doing this voice. I didn't know that. Hey, shout out to her though. She's so talented. She confused me. She fine though too.
Step down from her role as she started to feel more uncomfortable voicing this character, especially given the more black-focused stories they were planning on taking Missy during this upcoming season, stating on Instagram black characters on an animated show should be played by black people. Additionally, there can be challenges to being black in this space that are a bit more nuanced and hard to explain. Like Brie Henderson, who's a color stylist for Netflix and was a part of the panel as well, spoke to the climate she was currently working in at the time of recording, as the video had been released in July of 2020, so George Floyd had been murdered no less than a few weeks ago at this point. And she spoke about how she feels like there are eyes on her with whatever she's creating or finalizing in her design, overanalyzing to see if it's too political or too pro-black. And you can sit there and go, that's just her opinion, it's all in her head. But for one, no it's not, because people are looking to get mad about stuff like this all the time. Because God forbid, I don't know, a game studio has 2 minority leads in their open world stealth game. It's a game about assassins and everyone loses their minds. Two, I 100% relate. I defy you to find a black person that can't, who isn't acutely aware of their actions or the words that they say, where they say them, when they say them, and who's around them. And it can be so frustrating because majority of the time, black people in these spaces are just trying to tell stories. There's no black Illuminati hidden agenda. When Peter Ramsey, co-director of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, spoke of bringing Miles Morales to life and the challenges faced given that it wasn't Peter Parker, the hurdles he spoke of related to Miles the character, where he lived.
Okay, well nobody said Miles is the best Spider-Man, hands down. Miles, then we got Toby, then we got what's it called? The one who first, what was that dude name? Who got the? I think that was Toby. Yeah, Toby. Then I'm not getting that to no. Tom Holland is last. No, bro, I'm not getting that to no Tom Holland. Tom Holland is the fourth. he's last, bro. I don't like how he plays Spider-Man sometimes. I don't, bro.
Who his parents were,
He played
what music
weak.
he listened to, what did his clothes and hair look like. That's not to say him and his team were
Hey.
ignorant. Peter even mentions that there was a lot of conversation around him being Black Spider-Man or Afro-Latino.
Speaking of that, you know how they really just sat here and pushed back the Spider-Man to 2029. You know how old I'm gonna be when it come out 2029? I'm gonna be 22 next year, 23, and in 2028, 2029, I'm gonna be 24 years old. 24 years old when they come out. Nah, it's irritating, bro. Stop pushing back projects, bro. Golly.
Spider-Man. But he says that the most
Why
important
myself with that?
aspect is that Miles was a fully fleshed out character, getting the audience to fall in love with the new Spider-Man when majority of them didn't know anything about Miles other than the fact that he got bit by a radioactive spider. And I think this statement by him best summarizes how a lot of Black people in this industry think.
Imagine my song. Hey, imagine if I make a song for Spider-Man and send it to the record and see if I get accepted to be in the movie. Nah, that's crazy. My song playing in one of the backgrounds. That would be a dream come true, though. I'm not gonna hold
Tell
you.
real stories about real people who happen to be Black or, Hispanic or Asian or whatever. But we want the license to be able to display the full spectrum of everything with characters who come out of our experiences or experiences like ours. Being Black, or any minority for that matter, allows for different perspectives, cultures, and experiences to be talked about and brought to the center stage. Not every experience of a Black character is going to be deep fried in oppression and racism, but sometimes it comes with the territory when you're talking about a character that, dare I say, isn't Western European. Regardless, this is where we're at. Limitations are being set far too high and causing a barrier to entry, and less people are able to climb the ladder, thus making it difficult to create any lasting changes. Thankfully and luckily, I've been able to see some amazing workarounds. More Black animators are utilizing existing platforms to either promote themselves or others. Black studios and support programs are popping up to give Black people in the industry a fighting chance, which includes these big studios too, but in their case, I don't know, man, it seems kind of showy, because clearly there hasn't been much significant change, so I'm not holding my breath there. Please understand, this is not over what advantages or disadvantages are being set on level 100, and to be fair, even some of those on level 100 are doing what they can.
Hey, Cricket the Creek, actually a good show.
To flourish in the industry, regardless of if the story has Black characters, or they're doing what they can to produce, direct, and create stories with Black characters, but it's clearly not enough. A lack of Black creators is a lack of Black characters. And no matter what levers are or aren't being pulled, the results are the same. A lack of representation. Let's just ask it, who cares? Why does there have to be Black cartoon representation in our media? Well, representation in media in general affects our ERD, or ethnic racial development. Even as young as 6 months old, we can show preference towards faces that look like ours in terms of ethnicity and race. And as we get older, our ability to adapt and change how we perceive race and ethnicity only grows more and more. A great example of this can be seen in the doll test. If you didn't watch it during social studies, it's fine, I'll explain. It's basically an experiment to see how children, usually between the ages of 3 to 6, perceive race psychologically. It's done by taking two dolls, one Black and the other white, and then asking a series of questions like, which doll is good, which doll is bad, which is ugly, which is pretty. And what results have shown is that regardless of when or where it was conducted, what the race of the children were in the experiment, time and time again, the Black doll was associated with negative connotations. So you can see how important it can be, even before hitting double digits, that we understand race and ethnicity and have a positive association regardless of skin tone. Between 12 and 14 is when we start to think about what we can and cannot achieve socially and professionally depending on our race and what we've seen. This is also when we start to become significantly aware of stereotypes, racism, prejudice, and how those around us handle.
A great point. That's a great point, especially in sports. If you watch Remember the Titans, oh my God, Remember the Titans will tell you so much about the race and stuff. And this baseball movie too. This too, and it's another movie too. That talk about that too. It's a basketball. It was thinking called Superstars or something like that. That white coach go get kids from the streets and stuff like that, and train them to be basketball players, and like they play high school and they all got scholarships to go somewhere, like stuff like that. A good
And by
movie.
15 and beyond, we're basically fully cooked. What you've experienced and learned up until now is what you're going to apply to yourself and others actively. And I'd say that this age is so key because while we're still curious and questioning so much around us, we're also in this race to get to adulthood. We're quick to apply any answers we receive to our questions and curiosity to our own values and beliefs, which is why I agree so much with what the study stated towards the end. Explicit instruction seems to support all young people in making sense of racial privilege and inequality as structural realities rather than solely individual choices and solutions. When you think about this and consider how many hours of cartoons are consumed by young adults and kids on a daily basis, you start to understand why having variety in your characters is important. From young to old, they are learning, perceiving, and applying what they see to real life. To make it more black and white, exposure to black TV characters was seen to help black elementary school girls feel more positive about their status, appearance, and happiness. And it helped black high school students in general have a more satisfying outlook toward their appearance. As for white audiences, they can develop fear and anxiety about interracial contact, use stereotypes in judging other races, and even avoid constructive behavior with other ethnicities if they are exposed to negative.
But the downside of that stuff, though, if that is true, because most of the majority of that stuff really be the parents that be doing that stuff, and they grandparents or whatever happened in history of time and all that other stuff, blah 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 blah, mama jump. But cartoons, if you see a character a different color, then he's black. Jake, black. Bimo, black. Marceline, black. Flame Princess, black. It's nothing I could just tell y'all about that. There's more.
Groups. And these negative habits aren't being developed just because you're watching another episode of David Duke and the Devilish Dalmatians. It's the presence or lack of minority characters alone that can dictate how we view society, who we associate which groups have value, and who should or shouldn't be respected. It's clear, cartoons have an obscene amount of power. The very fact that you clicked on this video proves that. They're able to tell well-written stories with amazing visuals and short run times to accommodate for our goldfish-sized attention spans. But most importantly, they can speak to any demographic at any age. So no, Grandma, I'm not going to outgrow this. Toei Animation is finally nearing their time off, and if Oda can just lock in, we can close the book on the greatest manga and anime ever created, even excluding adult cartoons.
Hey, bro, no, don't spoil this, man. What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't spoil no One Piece for me, man. Chill out.
These shows have been getting better and better at accommodating all ages, given the fact that these studios have always been aware that a lot of their audience members may include adults and parents. They've only been improving upon their
regular show.
Their ability to entertain a vast amount of demographics. Why else do you keep rewatching Gravity Falls, Adventure Time, and Steven Universe? And when fall rolls around, you keep thinking of
potatoes and molasses.
These shows.
Bro, I wish this show had more seasons to it, bro. I never had got into like the end of Plot Center. It got cut off way too early for me, bro. To just like, because me and my twin brother used to sit here and watch this, bro. They was like wrong.
And their characters have the ability to have deep messaging, speaking past the 8 or 12-year-old who may be watching it for the cool characters and funny jokes, and speaking directly to us, just trying to get by, wanting desperately to break free of this.
Yep. Most of us is really like Larry. I'm not gonna hold you. Work. Take your girl on a date. Go home. Take a shower. Don't scroll on Instagram and do that stuff all over again, bro.
Endless cycle of consumerism, capitalism, and social status. But no needs have that tenfold. While they too can sneak in a silly joke here or a life take there, where they really thrive is the ability to tell stories of culture, perspective, and life experiences that are unique to black people. Sure, I remember the Jimmy episode in Static Shock that was about gun violence and school shootings, but I remember the Sons of Our Fathers episode way more, when Virgil goes to his best friend Richie's house for the first time after realizing that Richie had never invited him over, just to find out the disappointing reason why. Richie's dad is a bigoted racist. Or how about Teen Titans when Cyborg calls Starfire an alien word that has been used to address her by another character during the entire.
Okay, that don't mean no. That don't count. Cause that don't count. That I would have count Teen Titan as that right there. Now Static Shock had way more other stuff too. About that reading episode. If you're not good at reading, you know, It's what it is. You know, a lot of people is not good at reading and stuff like that. But don't ever in your life, ever in your life, living on this earth, let nobody, I mean nobody, make fun of you. Oh, you can't read. I don't care who they is. It could be your mama, your daddy, your friends, your girlfriend, your kids. Don't let them make fun of you, man.
Episode, just to find out that the word is actually very hateful and hurtful. And when Starfire asks him if he too understands what it's like to be judged just by how you look, he answers,
Of course I do. I'm part robot.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal.
I loved that scene.
Thanks.
We knew. My only gripe is I just wish Cartoon Network would have fully committed and not been cowards about it. Especially since later that year, they came out with one of the best and most pro-black cartoons to ever grace the small screen, which involves two inner city black kids that were transplanted into white suburbia. So you know what I'm gonna say. Like, I'm gonna make a video about this topic and not include.
I am the stone that the
inspiration
that made ladies sing the blues.
Boondocks is a masterpiece. If you're black, you're contractually obligated to watch it as much as you are to watch Friday.
Oh
and
my
if you're
God.
any other race or ethnicity and somehow haven't seen it, go now. You can pause the video, just open up another tab. I'll be here. Hiya! Did I get you? No? Okay. All right. Where were we? Right. The Boondocks, S tier. Why? Well, besides them redefining what a cartoon could be, black or otherwise, Aaron McGruder, their creator, was able to explore American racial dynamics through the lens of black people both interracially and intraracially. And while he had his challenges going from paper to premiere, he finally got the go-ahead from Adult Swim. And the two black restrictions that those big networks set decades ago in the 70s and 80s that created creative limitations and mundane vanilla black characters was shattered, as the Boondocks were unapologetically black. And while they had their controversies and hate because of that reason and many others, they had love and appreciation more than anything. The show was and always will be an undeniable success. This is what can happen when, for one, you have a genius like Aaron McGruder, but also when you have talented people who are passionate and creative, with a network that's not willing to let bias, ignorance, and arrogance run their decision making. What's sad is we may never know if there are creators as talented as Aaron that are even going to make it to the
What
starting
is
line. Because unfortunately, the response he gave to this question back in 1999.
Are there any other African American?
Syndicated cartoonists?
Yes.
There are about 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Is still relevant today, whether it's animators, directors, producers, or cartoon characters themselves.
I know.
Freeze.
It's amazing to me that this topic still holds up. I mean, we're coming up on the 100th anniversary of the first black cartoon character on television, and we're still having the same conversations, dealing with the same restrictions and limitations. It's getting old. There's a lack of faith when it comes to black characters, and creators for that matter, being able to lead a series.
Like, I don't know why it does this every single time, bro. It get on my nerves when it does this, low key. It does, though. But get it right.
No, there's evidence that contradicts that very idea. When shows fail, any show, one of the biggest factors is when you as a network, studio, whatever, tries to control everything. Even though there's evidence that contradicts that very
Well, what
idea.
I was finna say before it did that, what is like Boondocks is playing on, like, because it's not still airing. I'm talking about like Hulu, HBO Max, Netflix, or YouTube, like what it is, because I might need to go ahead and sit down and watch it. Because YouTube ain't nobody posting videos besides me. I feel like I'm in my own void when I'm coming into YouTube. Like, only the people that I know that post, it's like they post like once in a while and stuff like that. But they got other people that do post though on some regular everyday stuff.
Yeah, when shows fail, any show, one of the biggest factors is when you as a network, studio, whatever, tries to control everything, whether that be the creative freedom of the creators or the characters that they make. When you look at Hollywood or media today, I just feel like there's this creative palette fatigue, like a bunch of reimaginations, sequels, or unasked, it's gonna get a live adaptation. There's just too many examples of dumping so many resources in the same direction, even if it starts turning into a sunk cost fallacy situation. And I know these studios and networks want to take as few risks as possible, but do we really need 4 Toy Stories with the 5th on the way? Can't Pixar take all that time, energy, and money and put it into another franchise that hits big and then they can milk that for 30 years? Speaking of movies, there's a reason I decided to focus on television or television adjacent exclusively. While it is amazing seeing black cartoon characters as protagonists in the movie space, at least for me, television has more longevity. Like, for some reason I'm not willing to watch a full movie for its 1.5 to 2 hour runtime, but willing to eclipse that cranking through hours of an episode on a TV series. TV is short and has replayability. I don't need a full story to follow all the time. I can enjoy watching characters for 20-ish minutes fumble around and make me laugh, cry, think, whatever. Cartoons, unlike regular television, can be whatever you need them to be. If Rick and Morty want to have an episode about the fragility of life and focusing on the importance of owning one's mistakes and knowing that no one is free of consequence, while also having an episode of Rick turn himself into a pickle to go on the completely unnecessary adventure of criminal organizations and rats just to avoid family counseling, no one's gonna really bat an eye. You do that with Severance, it might be a little jump the sharky. Cartoons allow for characters to be seen in any light, whether that be professionally, socially, educationally, or superhero-y. And if you're savvy enough, you can even have them, I don't know, care about the character, their culture, their environment, the world they were brought into, and teach them things they may have never known about. Take Will and Grace.
Wait, hold on, Sam.
But a beloved sitcom.
Hey, what that shirt saying on your stuff? That boy got an RDC World 1!
And teach them things they may have never known about. Take Will and Grace, not a cartoon, but a beloved sitcom that shot the LGBTQIA community into the mainstream while also helping with prejudice and hate towards that community. Because I know, we love to think that we just magically become better as a society, understanding the ridiculousness of judging or acting against other people because they don't think and behave in the way we do. But that's not the case. That's not how we are. Things have to be normalized in our society. We have to connect with others emotionally before we can even consider understanding their perspective. And through their creative writing, storytelling, and beautifully fleshed out characters, that's exactly what the show did for people of that community. They were being represented in a way that connected all audiences, gay, straight, bi, whatever. And on primetime television, no less. While it was in no way perfect, it was a huge contributing factor to society's shift in perspective, giving pause to how they think about and treat others. Now think about that for a second. They were able to do that with adults. Cartoons can do that with adults, teens, kids, you name it. If Hollywood wants to be lazy but still have a fresh spin on things, you can tell similar stories but with characters that have different backgrounds, giving you the ability to dive into new perspectives with challenges and differing cultures. Because needless to say, black characters are simply a subcategory to the much bigger problem. Watch. Name one Hispanic female cartoon character. That's a lead. If you said Dora the Explorer, congratulations, you're racist. No, because she's actually a multi-ethnic Latina girl. Her mother is from Peru, and her father is a combination of both Cuban and Mexican. And if you're going, isn't Hispanic and Latinx the same thing? You're proving my point. There's a serious lack of representation when it comes to ethnicity, race, sexuality, gender, and physical differences, to name a few. And it may seem silly to you, but guess what? Kids become adults. And guess what adults do? Make decisions. Some that are great and others that are terrible. So many times the poor choices that we make that are wrapped in a lack of empathy comes from a place of ignorance and arrogance. And while cartoons may not change the world, they can help in normalizing others' lives, letting society dictate how they want to proceed moving forward with the information that they now have. And even if there's a small chance in change, isn't that worth it? For those of you that want to make a stink about there being a change to a movie, cartoon, or video game character, complaining that these companies are too woke or having an SJW agenda, saying things like, if they're going to change Ariel from white to black when they go live action, they better have the same energy about Tiana when they go live action. We're talking about the same Tiana, the first and currently only black Disney princess. If you're that upset, please ask yourself, who does this hurt? And if no one, why are you mad? And if you still can't answer this question,
how many fucking black cartoon characters is it on TV right now? I named 5. I'll give you time.
Maybe take a time out. Rolling on.
Hey, that's a good one. But hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow us, social media, gonna pop on the screen. We is on the road to 500. And yeah, man, we very close to our goal. Slowly getting there. Shout out to the A Neighborhood Tale. And I'm out, man. See y'all in the next video, bro. Make sure y'all subscribe. We so close to the goal. Hey, man.